you said it to me before. I loved your take on Jeff Skinner, the Edmonton Oilers. I
Ooh.
question them. I always question them. I'm going to continue to question them. But I think the Jeff Skinner move was curious. Now, Steve, you mentioned something about Jeff Skinner to me on the phone, and I thought it was a valuable take, and I just wanted you to share it on the show before we wrap up here.
I'm trying to remember. It was that great. I don't want to mess it up. But I remember along the lines of, listen, I think roster depth is still an issue for the Oilers. I think they've done a couple of good signings. Jeff Skinner, yes, not a crazy price. I wasn't crazy about Jeff Skinner move, but there's a lot of questions when it comes to that. I think, did I compare Jeff Skinner to Blake Wheeler? Was that the?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's all right. Jeff Skinner is very similar to Blake Wheeler, I think, in my mind. You not get rid of the age component. I think when you get rid of the age component, and Jeff Skinner isn't young, Jeff Skinner has been around for a long time. Blake Wheeler had the potential in New York to slot into that first line with Mika and Kreider and get them going. You go back and look at the stats of Blake Wheeler from 2 seasons ago. He was a 60 point scorer. You know, a couple seasons ago, he goes higher than that, 70. He was dominant. He was a 40-plus goal scorer, the captain of the Winnipeg Jets team. I'm not saying Jeff Skinner is going to go out there and score 40 goals for the Oilers, but he has the same ceiling of measurement that Blake Wheeler had coming to the Rangers. He could slot in with Edmonton the same way Blake Wheeler used to play with in Winnipeg, and he could come out and he can more than capable of scoring 20-plus goals, which if he gives you that, major dub for Edmonton. However, I think Jeff Skinner at the same time could also flop big time. He could flop like Blake Wheeler had. He could get injured. Not only getting injured, we could be sitting 30 games into the regular season, and Jeff Skinner could give you 2 goals and 14 points, the same performance that Blake Wheeler gave you in New York. So to me, I think it's very similar. I'm not saying that they're two similar styles in the sense that they play, but the situation is very similar. I think it's a high reward. I don't want to call it low risk, but I think for that price, but I think it's a high reward move for Edmonton if it pans out, Chops.
I loved that take. Like, just loved that take because I agree. When is the point where some of these guys in free agency, when do they reach that fall off? I think the two things that most people don't pay attention to are the situation a team is in. So, like Detroit. Yeah, they added all these guys, but they still have problems in their lineup and they still don't really look like a contender. So they made all those moves, didn't really make them a contender. Same thing with Washington. I love what they did. I really do. But I also am not sitting here saying, oh my gosh, you're going to be. I think there is a glorification when it comes to free agency, the draft, the trade deadline in that respect. And the other thing is, when's that fall off? When are we going to be a little bit realistic about some of these moves? Like Jeff Skinner to me, you peg that. He could be that guy. The upside I see is like Zach Hyman. Like he went off. I did not expect him to go from like a physical 20-goal scorer to a 50-goal, like, pretty much record-breaking player playing alongside Connor McDavid. So that may have potential too, but we don't know. He could turn out 9 goals next season in total. Or, he could put up like 35. This is a player he's solid. He's done it before. He was in a difficult situation in Buffalo, but I love that take. So, Steve, I think that really puts the bow on free agency for us.